game I plan on building with the team I put together will be story-driven, three-dimensional, third-person, high-angled, perspective platforming, dungeon crawl style action and adventure game. The combat will be fast-paced and dynamic in execution. There will be a more conventional style to the traversal. Combat will also be a tense affair with a feeling that the player could die at any point. There will be plenty opportunity for the player to deal extreme damage and takedowns, but some moves may be risky and if not properly thought out could lead to death. There will be a leveling and upgrade system for weapons and armor, as well as special powers, and these will be unlocked through completing side missions and finding particular collectibles. These upgrades will change the game by opening up new ways to attack and defend. The formula for calculating employee holiday is total months contracted divided by 2 equals weeks available as holiday. Any employees contracted to 3 or fewer months are not eligible for holiday. All contracts contain an NDA clause which states employees are not to disclose any information about the game or company in question under any circumstances. If an employee was to leave for any reason, they would not be allowed to take any current employees from the company for their own personal endeavors or disclose any information about the company for 3 years. We will acquire the employees through advertisements for work placements on reputable sites. We will pay for some advertisements on websites for particular employment opportunities that require high skill, as we wouldn't want to compromise the quality of the people we wish to hire. In interviews, interviewers should look for people who come across friendly and hardworking. They must also have at least 2 prior experiences working in a similar setup as our company. This is the team structure for game development. At the top is the producer, who will oversee the entire development and make sure deadlines and milestones are met. They will be required to work on a full-time contract for the entire project. The research and development manager is in charge of research and development of project features. The story writers, localization team, and period experts will report to this person. We will need this person full-time for the entire project. The story writers will be needed to write the story of the game and also script the screenplay for the voice actors. This means they will have 2 jobs and will have 8 months to complete both. We will require 3 writers with a 2-month contract on a part-time basis. The localization team will make sure that the game is appropriate and accessible to all countries and cultures, making sure different builds of the game adhere to laws and understandings in those countries. We will need 2 experts for 2 months on a freelance contract. Period experts will need to be specialists in the era chosen for the game and must be good at educating the design section of staff on a specialist period. We will need 2 experts for 2 months on a freelance basis. The head programmer will oversee the programming of the game. They will be in charge of the AI programmers and UI programmers. They will need to be the highest skilled and experienced programmers. We will need the head programmer for the entire project full-time. The artificial intelligence programmers will program the NPCs and enemies. We will need 10 programmers for 4 months on a full-time contract. The UI programmer will create the code and menus and head-up display. We will need 2 programmers for 3 months on a part-time contract. The game engine programmers will make sure the engine we use is being used to its optimal performance. We will need 2 programmers for the entire project on a part-time basis. The network programmer will deal with the server and network tasks. We will need 1 programmer for the entire project on a freelance contract. The head artist will oversee the artistic side of the game. They will have the final say on important design choices and be in charge of the character designs, environment designers, animators, concept artists, and texture artists. We will need the head artist full-time or for the entire project. Character artists will model and rig the characters. We will need 6 artists for 5 months on a full-time basis and 4 artists for 4 months on a full-time basis. The environment artists will create all of the buildings, landscapes, and objects in the game. We will need 7 artists for 5 months on a full-time basis and 3 artists for 4 months on a full-time basis. Animators. We will need 8 animators for 5 months on a full-time basis and 3 animators for 4 months on a full-time basis. Concept artists will create sketches for the design team to use as reference when creating the game in 3D. We will need 4 concept artists for 2 months on a part-time basis. Texture artists will be creating the textures that are used in the game. We will need 4 artists for 4 months on a full-time basis and 2 artists on a part-time basis. The UI designer will design the UI. We will need 1 designer for 1 month on a freelance basis. The technician. We will need a technician full-time for the entire project. The cleaners. We will outsource the cleaning department for the entire project. The office manager is in charge of administrative jobs. We will need an office manager for the entire project on a full-time contract. The solicitor will be in charge of all companies' legal dealings. We will outsource a solicitor for the entire project. The HR department will deal with all employee complaints. We will need 1 HR representative for the entire project on a full-time contract. The finance department will manage the financials of the company, keeping us in budget and responsible for paying the employees. We will outsource the department for the entire project. The marketing team will be responsible for pushing the game via trailers and advertising campaigns. We will outsource these responsibilities to a marketing firm for 8 months of the project. The sound designers will create the sound effects and also compose the music for the menus and the theme of the game that will be used in more cinematic moments. We will need 5 sound designers that will be on a 4-month contract on a freelance basis. Voice actors will voice the characters in the game. Both the main and signed characters will be voiced. And also, there will be small parts of narration. We will need 7 voice actors on a freelance basis, 6 for 3 months, and 1 for 1 month. The sound effects team, we will need 2 people in charge of sound effects for 2 months on a freelance basis.